Want to know the latest in soccer? Then listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. From MLS, the World Cup, and the Premier League, we've got you covered. The latest updates, the hottest matches, and news on the league's top players. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast.
David Beckham scores the goal to take England all the way to the World Cup finals.
Listen now.
Thank you for listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast, where we discuss everything in the wide world of soccer, including the top games and competitions from all around the world. I'm Ben.
I'm Alex.
And we are back here on a Monday, our normal time slot, to talk some soccer, football, however you pronounce it. That's what we are doing here on the show today. Going to be talking about the Champions League group stage match number 3, which starts tomorrow. And there's also games on Wednesday for your respective teams in the Champions League. We will cover that in our first segment of the day. Are you okay?
I'm great.
Alex, you just knocked into the, what was it, the light switch or the electrical
It was
panel?
a light switch. I
Leaned back a little
and I
too far?
Hit my head on the light switch.
You okay, buddy? You
Oh,
sure?
I'm great. Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure your head is on point because we got a lot
We
to
got
talk
a lot
about
to talk
here.
about today.
We do.
Champions League, Premier League, Bundesliga, La Liga, Serie A.
Everything in between. You know, it's going to be a great, great show. We have a lot to discuss. Some controversy, some things that, you know, people don't like to talk about, but we have to. For a certain player, for Inter Milan, Mauro Icardi. We're talking about him and how Inter Milan did on Saturday and how they sit in the Serie A table right now. Not doing too well, sitting in 11th place. So we'll discuss that in our second segment of the day as part of our review of the weekend. But first, we're going to be talking about the Champions League Matchday 3, which, as I said, starts tomorrow and concludes on Wednesday.
Yeah, we have matchups starting tomorrow. Like you said, we have Leicester City taking on Copenhagen, CSK Moscow and Monaco, Real Madrid and Legia Warsaw, Lyon and Juventus, Tottenham and Bayern Leverkusen, Sporting Lisbon and Borussia Dortmund, Dinamo Zagreb and Sevilla, and Club Brugge and Porto all taking on one another tomorrow.
Yes, and then for Wednesday's matchups, the big one everyone has circled in is Barcelona against Manchester City. Obviously, Pep Guardiola, the Manchester City boss.
Never heard of him.
Oh, never, huh?
Nope.
Well, you know, he played for Barcelona and stuff, too.
He's pretty good.
He was all right.
Doing pretty good this year.
Doing pretty good as a manager, too. But formerly manager of Barcelona, he will be taking on his former side. Obviously, that is, again, everyone has circled. We'll preview that. But we're going to preview some of the Tuesday matchups after we announce the Wednesday one. So we have Dinamo Kiev taking on Benfica. We have Napoli against Besiktas. We have PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, taking on FC Basel in Group A. The other Group A matchup is Arsenal. They'll be at home against Ludogorets. We have Celtic taking on Borussia Mönchengladbach. We have FC Rostov against Atletico Madrid, who sit top of the group. And then Bayern Munich, obviously, against PSV Eindhoven in the other two teams in that respective group as well.
Yeah, there's some good games on Wednesday. Wednesday is probably a bigger day for me in terms of games I would want to watch.
I agree, definitely. I think Tuesday's lacking a little bit, but with Tuesday, there's definitely still some really important games. The one game I have my eyes on more than any of them is Bayer Leverkusen against Tottenham Hotspur. Definitely a really, really big matchup in Group E. So Monaco sit first right now with 4 points. They're going to be taking on Moscow, who are in last place with 1 point. So that's a really important game. Monaco obviously going to have the advantage there. And then you have Tottenham, who sits second in the group with 3 points, against Bayer Leverkusen with 2 points. Definitely a big, big result needed for both of these teams. If one of these two teams can get a victory here, they're going to be setting up pretty nicely halfway through the group stage games, because you have to imagine that Monaco should be able to handle CSK Moscow.
I believe they will, at least in my opinion. But it's been wacky, some of these games in the Champions League so far.
Definitely, you look at Tottenham Hotspur losing their first game to Monaco, actually. So with Tottenham, they're going to be without Toby Alderweireld, one of their center backs, who, he's part of the team of the season last year in the Premier League. So one of the best center backs in the league. So without him for at least a few weeks, it's going to be tough. They're going to have Wimmer come in. He played really well, replacing Jan Vertonghen last year with the addition of Toby Alderweireld. But now you have to have Jan Vertonghen sort of be. He was already kind of a leader in that back line for Tottenham, but he's going to have to be a lot more now with Alderweireld not being there. So you have to imagine that maybe Bayer Leverkusen, some of their attackers, people like Karim Bellarabi, Chicharito, Javier Hernandez, are going to see some opportunities to strike against Spurs.
Yeah, I imagine so. It's definitely going to be an interesting game. I'm going to be interested to see that game. I like to keep an eye on Bayer Leverkusen when I can, so that'll be a good one. I'm looking forward to Sporting Lisbon and Borussia Dortmund. That should be a good one. The Real Madrid game should be a pretty competitive game for some Legia Warsaw. So definitely some good games on Tuesday, just not as many as I would be looking forward to on Wednesday.
No, the other game on Tuesday that I guess you could have penciled in as could be a really good matchup is you have Juventus against Lyon. So Juventus sit top of Group H right now with 4 points. Lyon in third with 3 points, just a point behind Sevilla, who are tied with Juventus. So for Lyon, they definitely need to try and escape with at least a draw against the Italian champions. Because if they lose again, you have to imagine Sevilla taking on Dinamo Zagreb, a team who hasn't even scored a goal yet throughout their first two games, getting blown out, losing both games by a combined 7-0.
Yep.
You got to imagine that Sevilla, who are riding high right now, is currently sitting fourth in La Liga table. They were first at one point at the beginning of the weekend before some of these other teams played. So you got to imagine that Sevilla are probably going to be able to handle Dinamo Zagreb. So if Lyon want to have any chance of getting to the round of 16, they need to get a good result here against Juventus. I'd say at least a draw if they want to have any shot. So people like Alexander Lacazette, as well as Nabil Fekir, they need to try and get things going for the French league side against Juve, which is tough. Juventus have one of the best defenses in the league. Good, solid players, attacking as well. You look at Dybala as well as Gonzalo Higuain. So it's going to be tough for Lyon. I don't see them winning the game. I think Juventus should be able to win the game. But we'll have to wait and see. Lyon are still a very capable side. As I mentioned, Alexander Lacazette, a very good goal scorer. So we'll have to see what happens on Tuesday. Actually, tomorrow.
Tomorrow. We move to Wednesday, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that probably the game you're most interested in is Arsenal versus Ludogorets.
Well, for me personally, yes, because I am an Arsenal supporter. So when you're looking at Group A currently, which Arsenal and Ludogorets are in, Arsenal with 4 points, PSG with 4 points, they'll be taking on FC Basel, as I mentioned. I would imagine both Arsenal and PSG should handle business against their respective opponents. They're just better teams, quite honestly, and I do expect them both to win. Arsenal are playing great right now. Their only loss they've had all year was the opening game of the Premier League against Liverpool, and that was back in August. So
that was a while ago.
They're doing really well right now. They should be able to handle Ludogorets. They are at home. They got to get good results. It's important for Arsenal more so than PSG in my eyes to get a victory here, because Arsenal have struggled in that round of 16, losing for years in a row now in the round of 16. So if they can get on top of the group, that means they're going to be playing an opponent who finished second in a group. That could be that difference there to get them into the quarterfinal, maybe even a semifinal. So a good chance for Arsenal in a group where they're already tied with PSG. They got a point on the road in PSG in their first opening game of the Champions League group stage. So the next time they play them, it'll be at the Emirates Stadium in North London. So a good chance to get 3 points there.
There's some other games that are notable that I'm sure everybody will keep their eye on. We have Man City against Barcelona. We have Borussia Mönchengladbach taking on the Scottish champion Celtic. Bayern Munich taking on PSV Eindhoven. And then FC Rostov from Russia taking on Atletico Madrid.
Definitely the matchup of the day, as we mentioned. Barcelona against Manchester City.
I was going to say FC Rostov. I was like, nah.
Not so much. I do think Atletico should be able to handle them.
Yeah,
quite
Barcelona though
easily.
and Man City, that should be a very good game.
Definitely. You saw on Saturday in the Everton-Manchester City game, which we'll discuss in our next segment, it ended in a 1-1 draw. You saw that Pep Guardiola was thinking ahead with his lineup when it came to this game here, because he rested Sergio Aguero, his main striker, probably in my opinion the best in the Premier League. He rested his striker, Sergio Aguero, on Saturday against Everton. Maybe it's because he was coming back from Argentina, going into Europe. That's quite a fly, have a little jet lag or anything. but I think he has implications of looking at this Barcelona game in resting Sergio Aguero, because he knows he's going to need Sergio Aguero if he has any chance of defeating Barcelona, who are playing great. Lionel Messi is back. He scored on Saturday in a 4-0 victory over Deportivo. So he is back. He's playing really well. Messi, Suarez, Neymar, the list goes on and on. We know about Barcelona, but Pep Guardiola knows Barcelona better than anybody. I think it's going to be tough. I think Manchester City are still a good, solid team, but I think maybe they had not necessarily a reality check, but it's kind of a waking up in that 2-0 loss to Tottenham a couple weeks ago. They draw 1-1 against Everton. I feel like if City get pressed, which I think Barcelona will do because they have a good, solid front line who have a lot of pace. So if City get pressed by Barcelona, I think that spells for a disaster for Manchester City, and I think Barcelona can escape with a win then.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a really interesting and competitive game in my opinion, but I think Barcelona's going to get away with the win in this one. In my opinion, I think they will.
Definitely, I agree. You have Claudio Bravo from Manchester City, who came over on the transfer deadline, formerly of Barcelona, so he knows them as well, so maybe he can, I wouldn't say necessarily create some headaches because he is a goalkeeper, but maybe he has some tendencies. He knows where maybe Messi, Suarez, Neymar like to go as far as placement of the ball. Maybe he can stop a few that someone else wouldn't because he has that relationship built with them, but we'll have to wait and see. But that's definitely the game of Matchday 3 here in the Champions League.
Yeah, and of course next week we'll have all the recaps of those games for you on Monday when we're back. But until then, we just have to leave you with the wonderful preview of these games. Let's take our first break. We'll come back and we will preview the weekend games and upcoming games of the next few leagues in Premier League, Bundesliga, La Liga, and Serie A throughout the rest of the show. Sound good to you, Ben?
Sounds fantastic.
All right, then we'll do that. We'll be right back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And we're back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. It's time to talk some Premier League to you. And we'll get started with the weekend games that we just watched. So, Crystal Palace played West Ham. West Ham won that one 1-0. Chelsea defeated Leicester City 3-0. Ben's favorite squad, Arsenal, defeated Swansea City 3-2. West Brom and Tottenham drew 1-1. Stoke City and Sunderland, 2-0 victory for Stoke City. And Man City and Everton drew as well at 1-1. We move to Sunday. Middlesbrough and Watford played one another. Watford got away with the win there 1-0. And Southampton got the victory over Burnley FC 3-1.
Definitely a lot
3-1.
Right. A lot of good storylines here in this weekend of the Premier League. We had a matchup of the last two champions, Chelsea and Leicester City. Chelsea dominate that game 3-0. Leicester City just not the same team as they were last year.
No, not even close.
And the only player they really have lost is N'Golo Kante. But to me, it's been their defense. That center back pairing between Robert Huth and Wes Morgan last year was so dominant and so strong. This year, they're just kind of having mistakes. They're just making a lot of mistakes. Leicester currently sitting at 13th right now with 8 points through 8 games. They're not scoring goals like they did last year. Riyad Mahrez didn't even start this game, who's their best player by far in my eyes. So kind of confusing what Claudio Ranieri and Leicester City are doing. And I was not surprised that Chelsea came out on top. It's a good result for the Blues, a good result they needed after how they've played lately. Their win against Hull kind of turned things around, and now their win against Leicester. But before that, against Liverpool and Arsenal, kind of struggling. So a good result for Chelsea.
And they're sitting at 5 on the table currently, 5th place there with 16. One of two teams currently with that many points.
So a few other games, obviously mentioned Manchester City and Everton drew 1-1. A good result for Everton. Ronald Koeman and Pep Guardiola obviously have a relationship, having played together at Barcelona. So maybe Ronald Koeman did say that Man City is the best side he's played so far this season, and he's already played Tottenham. So obviously he thinks City are better than Tottenham, but as results said a couple weeks ago, Tottenham beat City 2-0. So I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. But obviously it's still really early, only 8 games through. But that was a big result. Tottenham against West Brom, 1-1. Tottenham absolutely dominated that game, but they just could not get anything going. And then West Brom scored in the 82nd minute from Nasser Chadli, who is formerly of Tottenham. Only fitting. And then Dele Alli scores in the 89th minute to equalize for Tottenham and rescue a point. So they are still unbeaten in the Premier League. They sit currently in third with 18 points. But we have a new number 2.
Yeah, how about number 2, Ben?
And that is Arsenal. They win against Swansea City 3-2. Obviously for Swansea City, manager Bob Bradley of the United States, his first game in charge of the Swans. And he's obviously still trying to learn his team a little bit, get them up to speed, get them more fit. He started Gylfi Sigurdsson at a striker position. He's more of a midfielder. He did score a goal, so I guess you could say it was a good decision. Have to see if that goes on. I think he played more of like a false 9 role where he dropped back a lot more than he normally would have as a traditional striker. But for Arsenal, you see 2 goals from Theo Walcott. He's playing exceptionally well. He's got 6 goals in his last 5 games for the club. And Mesut Ozil on his birthday scores an absolutely stunning volley to give Arsenal a 3-2 win. They've won 6 straight games in the league now, and they sit second, joint top with Manchester City points-wise, only 1 goal back on goal differential. And now in their next game in the league, they'll be playing Middlesbrough next week, a side who just got promoted at home, so another winnable game. So you have to say Arsenal are flying high right now. The Gunners are flying. The cannons are firing on all cylinders right now for Arsenal.
Very true. We have also, don't forget, a game today as well.
That's really the matchup of Matchday 8 in my eyes in the Premier League. We have Liverpool taking on Manchester United. Monday Night Football over in Europe. Liverpool are at home. They are at Anfield. Obviously, legacy at Anfield. We all know about what that stadium does for everybody. So Liverpool against Manchester United.
4 versus 7.
Right, I was going to say Liverpool sitting 4th in the table right now with a game in hand, I might add, so that's not too bad. They have been playing well, same as Arsenal has. The one loss for Liverpool, that 2-0 defeat to Burnley. Then you have Manchester United, who've been playing better as of late since Wayne Rooney's been dropped from the side. Yeah. For Liverpool, it looks like they're not going to have Gigi Wijnaldum and Adam Lallana in that game. Adam Lallana is playing absolutely great for Liverpool this year. He would have been starting. So you're going to have someone sort of maybe move down into that role. I think Mane should be playing on probably the right side. Maybe you'll have Philippe Coutinho fall back in that midfield role, and then you'll have Roberto Firmino start on the left side. But we'll have to wait and see. This is going to be a tough game. Obviously, 2 really good sides. I think I'm going to give the edge to Manchester United just a little bit. Liverpool, obviously capable of scoring goals. They have the most goals in the league. So they're definitely scoring, but their defense is really shaky, not too good going back. Manchester United have a lot of great attacking players. I think I'll give the edge to United just slightly in a tough road game. I'll give them a 2-1 victory, honestly. Okay. I think this is a game where the midfield can kind of dominate. I expect Paul Pogba to have the advantage over Jordan Henderson, although Henderson has played great this year. I think Pogba has a little bit of an advantage there. Attacking is pretty similar. I think United have a better defense with Chris Smalling and Eric Bailly. So I'll give the edge to the Red Devils.
All right. Now let's move to the Bundesliga. Bundesliga had matchups this weekend as well. Borussia Dortmund and Hertha BCS, played one another. 1-1 draw there on Friday. Moving to Saturday, I have Hoffenheim and SC Freiburg. 2-1 win for Hoffenheim there. FC Cologne defeats Augenstadt 2-1. FC Augsburg and Schalke draw at 1-1. Borussia Mönchengladbach and Hamburger both draw at 0-0. Interesting there. Eintracht and Bayern Munich drew 2-2. Werder Bremen defeats Bayer Leverkusen 2-1. And then we had games yesterday as well. Mainz defeats Darmstadt 2-1. And Wolfsburg is defeated by RB Leipzig 1-0.
Yeah, Leipzig really one of the stories, as well as maybe Hertha Berlin and Cologne in the Bundesliga this year. RB Leipzig. Mm-hmm. They're just promoted, and they're currently sitting at third. They're unbeaten through 7 games, 15 points. They're basically tied for second, just one goal behind on differential with Cologne. Mm-hmm. So that really is the surprise there of the Bundesliga this year. They're undefeated through 7 games. They just got promoted. For FC Bayern Munich, obviously, they draw again 2-2 to Eintracht. That is definitely not a good result. A game they should have won, a game they dominated. Mm-hmm. They're kind of dropping points now, having drawn the last few games. They still look really dominant, but they're not really separating themselves from the rest of the league, which we saw for the last few years, really.
Yeah, they're only 2 points up on FC Cologne, so they really need to start. The draws are what's killing them. Like you said, 2 very winnable games that they drew. They could be up, in terms of wins, 7 right now. No losses still, so they definitely are conceding some points to 2 and 3 there.
And then a side that's not doing so well here in the Bundesliga, the side that did lose to Leipzig, is Wolfsburg.
Oh, yeah, they're low there.
They're currently in 14th with only 6 points through 7 games. This is a side that was in the Champions League last year, and we're ahead of Real Madrid in that quarterfinal there going into the second leg. So they're definitely a capable side. Julian Draxler's a great midfielder. They brought in Mario Gomez. They did lose Andre Schürrle, who went to Dortmund, but that's definitely not a loss where you could be dropping all the way to 14th in the league right now. They're not playing good. They need to try and find a way to get some good results in their next few games. Or else I think a lot of their players who they have that have good potential and talent are going to be gone at least maybe January or the start of next summer. Julian Draxler is a great young midfielder there, the German. Yeah. It looks like he was maybe going at PSG, Arsenal, Juventus already last summer. He came out and said he absolutely wants to leave next year. Ricardo Rodriguez is a great left back. He's really good going forward as well. I would imagine he would try to get out of there if they keep this up. They got to try and find a way to get results to keep their players and to obviously get better in the table.
I agree with you on that one. Any more interesting games for you? I mean, Werder Bremen, Bayern, Leverkusen, definitely a loss for Leverkusen there in that sense. Interesting that Mönchengladbach and Hamburg drew 0-0, in my opinion at least.
Yeah, Mönchengladbach just don't seem like the same team. They did lose Granit Xhaka to Arsenal. He was their team captain and really a rock in the midfield. They just don't look like the same team anymore. I mean, which you wouldn't expect when you lose a great solid rock like that with
very
Xhaka.
true.
So.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let's take our last break though. We'll come back. We'll do matchday reviews for La Liga and Serie A before we get out of here. How's that sound to you?
Sounds fantastic.
All right, let's do that. We'll be right back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And we are back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. We will be ending our show here with our last segment, talking some La Liga results from the weekend. We had a lot of good results. Really, every team, for the first time in the last few weeks, really, has handled business that should have, especially at the top part. So you have Real Madrid with a really convincing 6-1 victory over Real Betis. Atletico Madrid absolutely killed Granada 7-1. Yeah. You had a hat-trick from Yannick Carrasco over there on the left side. That Belgian midfielder, Yannick Carrasco, has been playing absolutely fantastic ever since going back to that Champions League final last year against Real Madrid. He obviously scored the only goal that Atletico had in that game. He scored against Bayern Munich in the Champions League in their last game. Had a hat trick on Saturday. He's playing fantastic. If you told me that Atletico scores 7 goals and Antoine Griezmann doesn't score any of them, I tell you you're lying.
Yeah,
but that's exactly what happened.
Sure enough. I mean, Barcelona, like you said, 4-0 over Deportivo. Real Madrid 6-1 over Real Betis. Yeah, I mean, these are pretty handed wins for the 3 best teams in the league.
Definitely, and then you can kind of throw a 4th one in the mix as it stands right now. You have Sevilla. They're currently 3rd in the table with 17 points, only 1 point behind obviously the 2 Madrid teams, Atletico and Real. So they sit 3rd with 17 points, as I said. They're ahead of Barcelona right now with 16 points. Even Villarreal, they're unbeaten, 4 wins and 4 draws through 8 games. They're at 16 points. So they're kind of a surprise as well in my eyes.
Yeah, and Barcelona definitely was surprised at the way they started the year, and somebody had to, make up that ground in Sevilla. And, yeah, like you said, Villarreal, they've really taken advantage of the slow starts from some of these teams. Like you said, they're undefeated. So, I mean, it'd be interesting to see how, when we get down to it, really where this goes from here.
Definitely. I definitely agree. And, for Sevilla, they got to keep it going. Next week, they're playing Atletico Madrid. Definitely a tough matchup who sit first in the league. Mm-hmm. You got to imagine that Atletico Madrid will handle business. That defense, I talk about it all the time, but that defense is so solid for Atletico. Sevilla, I think they're definitely going to have some of their good run of games ended on Saturday when they play Atletico. But I'll have to wait and see. Anything is possible, as always.
And, of course, tonight we also have a game, Monday Night Football, Eibar and Osasuna. Actually, it's getting ready to get going today, so, in the morning here, but night over there.
And Osasuna with 3 points, 19th in the table.
They got some work to do.
They're currently getting relegated as it stands, but still got a while to go.
All right, well, let's look at Serie A. So we had games from Saturday, Sunday, of course, and we have a game tonight. But we're starting with Napoli over Roma, a 3-1 win for Roma there. Pescara and Sampdoria, 1-1 draw. Juventus gets a win over Udinese, 2-1. We move to Sunday's games. Fiorentina and Atalanta, 0-0, as well as Genoa and Empoli, 0-0. We have Sassuolo, 2-1 over Crotone. Inter Milan loses a close one over Cagliari, 2-1. Lazio and Bologna, 1-1 draw. And Chievo gets a loss there over Inter Milan, 3-1. And, of course, we do have matchups today. Palermo and Torino this morning will be facing off with one another.
Last week we talked about Roma and Napoli as being the big matchup of the weekend here in Serie A, and it did not disappoint. Roma do come out on top 3-1 over Napoli. I think Napoli are definitely going to be sort of dropping a lot of points now with that loss to their new striker Milic, the Polish international who did get injured at the international break last week, as we mentioned. And they had a obviously a bad result losing to Roma 3-1, and it showed. They definitely do not have that goal-scoring threat anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you mean there. Yeah, Roma, I mean, they kind of handled them 3-1, in my opinion. So,
right, and then we talked about Mauro Icardi of Inter Milan. He definitely has been struggling as of late. Some of his remarks he said in his autobiography, talking about some of the Milan sort of, I guess in America we talk about the front office, we would call it, but they call it kind of like the ultras, like the ownership, sort of the management and stuff.
Interesting.
Did not really speak very fondly of them in his autobiography. And people, the fans, they're not really happy with Mauro Icardi right now, who is the team's captain at only 23 years old. So that tells you what, obviously, the club means and what they think of him being such a leader. They lost 2-1 to Cagliari on their last game. Mauro Icardi actually missed a penalty, and the fans were cheering that, which you never see, especially some of these clubs in Europe, how, excited they are for their teams and how much pride they have in their teams. To miss a penalty, a chance to score a goal, and they're cheering that tells you what the fans really think of you, Mauro, and you kind of got to step it up a little bit. There were reports that they might take his captain armband away from him, his sort of captainship, but they actually did announce today they're going to keep him as the captain going forward, and he said he has to play better. He has to sort of put some of this stuff behind him and sort of help his team get some results. They're not doing very well right now. They currently are not doing well. As I said, they're sitting at 11th in the table with 11 points through 8 games. For a side that spent a lot of money to bring a lot of people in, not going too well for a great side like Inter Milan.
Yeah, I mean, Inter Milan's they're a good team. They've been a good team for a long time. So losing that one, sitting where they do at the table now, I mean, they got some work to do. They really do, in my opinion at least.
I agree. Definitely they need to sort of step it up. Their next game is going to be next week against Crotone. So that is a game that they definitely should win. They're sitting last in the table right now with only 1 point through 8 games. So that's kind of the right way to turn it around, get things going into positive momentum. An easy result, or what should be an easy result, obviously. They haven't even won a game, just 1 draw and 7 losses. So.
Yeah, they definitely need a win to get moving, at least if you look at it. I mean, you can't sit this far down and you haven't even gotten a win yet. You need some wins.
Right. So this is where Inter Milan can get it done, in my eyes.
Yeah, and Inter Milan faces off against Atalanta in their next game on Saturday.
Definitely.
It should be a winnable game for them, in my opinion.
Of course it should, definitely.
Until, we don't get to tell you about it until Monday, unfortunately, but of course we'll be back to talk all about it on Monday. I know Ben will be here. I'll be here.
Definitely, we'll be talking about some of the results over the weekend, talking some Champions League. Next Monday, we'll actually have the MLS, the Major League Soccer playoffs set.
Yes, sir.
So we'll obviously be doing a preview of the playoffs. Kind of different. They're the only sort of organization that does playoffs with soccer.
Yeah.
Everything else is sort of, you finished top after every single every game. Oh, you win the league.
Yeah.
So kind of different. That's kind of an American thing, playoffs though. So we'll be talking about the MLS playoffs, the preview of the Western Conference and Eastern Conference, because we will be having the playoffs set. So obviously we'll do a preview of that as well as some of the games over the weekend, talk about the Champions League results from this week. It's going to be a good show.
I can't wait for it.
I'm excited. I am too.
Yeah, it's always your favorite show of the week.
It is. I do love my soccer, buddy, as you know. So
Yeah, I do. I know.
I always am excited.
Well, until then, though, I gotta end it for you, Ben. I gotta end it.
We have to. Unfortunately, we do.
Gotta do it. But, of course, we will be back on Monday. And until then, we'd like to thank you for listening, as always. I'm Alex.
I am Ben.
We'll see you on Monday. You guys have a good week of soccer, and don't go getting in any trouble out there.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.